Imagination is more important than knowledge. For knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. With these words from Albert Einstein, we begin our journey tonight, a journey not just through the realms of science, but into the very heart of human wonder and the boundless power of the mind. Welcome to Whisper Tales. As you listen, let your body relax, sink deeper into the comfort of your space, and allow the whispers of stories long past to guide you into tranquility. Einstein's life was a testament to the magic of imagination. While others were confined by the limitations of what was already known, he dared to dream beyond, to chase light beams across the cosmos, and to ask questions that had never been asked before. Tonight, as you lie back and let go of the day's worries, consider how imagination opens doors to worlds unseen, how it carries us to places where the impossible becomes possible. Let your mind be free, let your spirit wander, just as Einstein's did when he wondered about the very fabric of the universe. Close your eyes if you wish, breathe deeply, and imagine a world where the boundaries between dreams and reality blur, a world where the power of thought can bend space, where time stretches and contracts like a gentle wave. Feel your heartbeat slow as these thoughts drift around you, wrapping you in a cocoon of infinite possibility. Every breath you take carries you deeper into a realm where imagination reigns, a place where your mind can float freely among the stars. Remember to follow Whisper Tales, where each story is a doorway into wonder, a gentle exploration of the extraordinary. Let these whispered words be a lullaby for your thoughts, carrying you softly into a night of dreams filled with starlight and curiosity. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let your spirit rest, for tomorrow brings another day to dream, to question, and to imagine. Good night, dear listeners. May your dreams be as limitless as the universe itself. All the world's a stage, Shakespeare once said, and perhaps no one stepped onto this cosmic stage with a more profound curiosity than young Albert Einstein. Born on March 14, 1879, in the quiet town of Ulm, Germany, he was a child like any other, or so it seemed. But hidden beneath his quiet demeanor was a mind already filled with questions about the universe. He was the son of a Jewish family. His father, Hermann, an engineer by trade, introduced young Albert to the marvels of electricity and machinery. To Albert, his father's work was a portal into the hidden forces that govern the world. Then there was his mother, Pauline, who filled their home with the gentle sound of music, filling Albert's heart with the rhythm and beauty of art. She was the one who showed him that not all mysteries lie in science alone, that some are woven into the notes of a melody or the soft brushstrokes of a painting. Growing up in this open-minded, nurturing home, Albert found himself free to dream and question, to wonder about the stars, the sky, and the mysteries that seemed to pull him toward the unknown. At night, he would sit quietly, staring up at the stars, his mind filled with questions. Why did the stars sit so far away, twinkling yet so silent? Why did the world move in such perfect order? Even as a young boy, he pondered the invisible forces that seemed to hold the universe together. He was only a child, but his curiosity knew no limits, quietly urging him to seek answers. But life, much like the cosmic dance he imagined, was full of change. Financial troubles forced the Einsteins to move from Germany to Switzerland, exposing Albert to a new world and a different way of thinking. This change, though challenging, only fueled his desire for freedom. In Switzerland, young Albert continued his journey of discovery, exploring the mysteries of nature with the unwavering support of his family. And so begins the story of Albert Einstein, a child who found himself gazing up at the stars, his heart alight with wonder. The home that nurtured him was the first stage in a lifelong journey of discovery, a journey that would one day lead him to rewrite the very laws of the universe. As Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, and young Albert, with eyes full of stars, was ready to play his part. As Albert grew older, his curiosity only deepened. His family moved often, searching for better opportunities, and each move seemed to feed the spirit of exploration within him. Eventually, they settled in Switzerland, and the quiet, introspective boy blossomed into a young man hungry for knowledge and understanding. But Albert was different from his classmates. He found the rigid school structure stifling. While teachers lectured about facts and rules, Albert's mind yearned to explore beyond the confines of the classroom. One experience from his childhood remained vivid in his mind, a day when his father handed him a simple compass. For most children, it might have been a mere toy, but to Albert, it was a doorway to the unseen forces of the world. The compass needle, persistently pointing north, captivated him. How could something invisible guide it so precisely? What was this hidden power that no one could see yet was undeniably there? This small object planted the seed of a lifelong question in his mind. How, he wondered, can something I cannot see have so much control over what I can? Each night, as he gazed up at the stars, this curiosity grew. Why did everything in the universe seem so orderly? Why did objects fall, and what caused them to move the way they did? The compass had opened his mind to the possibility of unseen forces that shaped the world around him. Even as a young boy, he sensed that the visible world was only part of the story. The true mysteries lay in what was hidden from view. But in school, Albert's boundless imagination often clashed with his teacher's structured lessons. His mind would drift, lost in thought, and teachers mistook his silence for indifference. One teacher, frustrated with his apparent disinterest, sternly said, "Albert, if you don't learn to follow the rules, you'll never amount to anything." But Albert didn't see rules as limits. He saw them as challenges, obstacles to be questioned and, if needed, broken. Another teacher remarked, "How do you expect to succeed when you struggle with basic math?" Most students might have been discouraged, but for Albert, these criticisms only fueled his curiosity. Albert believed that true learning went beyond memorizing facts. Each comment, every criticism, strengthened his resolve to see past the world's visible layers and reach for the mysteries beyond. He realized that the classroom walls and rules were just boundaries, waiting to be crossed. When he felt confined by routine, Albert would close his eyes and lose himself in his imagination. He dreamed of riding alongside beams of light, gliding through the vast reaches of the cosmos. What would happen, he wondered, if I could travel at the speed of light? This thought, combined with the memory of the compass, led him into even deeper questions about the nature of space and time. He realized that there was an invisible world, a network of forces as real as anything he could see or touch, and this unseen reality called to him, urging him to understand it. And so, despite the limits of school and the doubts of his teachers, young Albert Einstein set out on a journey guided by the small compass his father had given him. In his early 20s, Albert Einstein found himself working in an unlikely place for a future scientific revolutionary, the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. At first glance, the job seemed ordinary, even mundane. Each day, he was tasked with examining patent applications, reviewing inventions from all over Switzerland. But for Albert, this office was more than just a quiet, modest workplace. It was a sanctuary, a place where he could let his mind roam freely, unrestricted by academic formality or rigid expectations. Here, in this unassuming setting, his ideas began to flourish. As Albert sifted through the pages of patent applications, he was captivated by the inventor's endless creativity. Some sought to change the way people communicated, others attempted to harness new forms of energy, and many were simply striving to solve everyday problems in novel ways. These applications were a testament to human ingenuity, and Albert saw in each one a small reflection of his own curiosity. Yet, while others might have been content to work within the boundaries of the inventions they were evaluating, Albert's thoughts reached far beyond the patent office walls. In these quiet hours, Albert often closed his eyes and retreated into a world of pure thought. He called these mental journeys his thought experiments, a series of complex questions and scenarios he pondered entirely within his own mind. There were no test tubes, no laboratory equipment, no chalkboards or equations. There was only the vast expanse of his imagination. One of his earliest and most famous thought experiments began with a single question that had haunted him since childhood: what would it be like to travel alongside a beam of light? He envisioned himself soaring through space, keeping pace with a light wave. What would he see if he could travel at such speeds? Would time stand still, or would it move in ways he couldn't yet understand? The more he thought about it, the more he realized that light held secrets far beyond its brightness. He imagined himself, not as an observer of light, but as a traveler within it, a part of its journey. In this imagined reality, he began to see the universe from an entirely new perspective. One day, he posed another scenario to himself. Imagine a train speeding along a track, and two lightning bolts strike it simultaneously, one at the front and one at the back. For someone standing on the platform, watching the train pass, both strikes would appear to happen at the same instant. But for someone sitting on the train, moving forward with it, the strikes might appear separate, as if time itself were shifting with their motion. This seemingly simple thought experiment unlocked a revolutionary idea. Time was not a fixed, absolute quantity. It was not an unchanging river flowing uniformly for all. Instead, it could stretch, bend, and warp depending on one's perspective. Albert's mind whirled as he thought through the implications of this idea. If time could vary depending on speed and position, then what of space? Were space and time somehow connected, woven together in ways he had never considered? This line of thinking led him down a path that challenged everything he knew about physics and reality. Bit by bit, his thoughts began to converge on a revolutionary theory that would forever change science, the theory of special relativity. This theory presented a radical new view of the universe. It suggested that space and time were not separate entities, but were instead intertwined, like strands of a vast, invisible fabric that stretched across the cosmos. The deeper Albert ventured into this idea, the more he saw that the universe was not just a collection of objects moving through empty space, but a dynamic, interconnected system where time and space shaped each other. And at the heart of this theory was a simple, elegant equation: E equals mc squared. In this groundbreaking formula, Albert revealed that energy and mass were interchangeable. They were, in essence, two expressions of the same thing. Matter could be converted into energy, and energy into matter, a concept so profound that it would redefine humanity's understanding of the physical world. To his colleagues at the patent office, Albert was a quiet, unassuming young man who spent his days dutifully examining applications and processing inventions. They could not have known that, in the silence of his mind, he was journeying through the stars, chasing beams of light and uncovering truths about the cosmos that would echo across history. He was transforming physics, not in a grand lecture hall or a prestigious laboratory, but in the quiet recesses of his imagination between the stacks of patent applications. For Albert, these thought experiments were more than mere intellectual exercises. They were his way of breaking free from the limits of the visible world, his means of touching the mysteries that lay hidden beneath reality's surface. Through these mental journeys, he explored questions most people never thought to ask, questions that would reshape human understanding. And so, in the ordinary stillness of the patent office, Albert Einstein was laying the groundwork for a scientific revolution that would illuminate the very fabric of the universe. As Albert Einstein continued to delve into his thought experiments, a groundbreaking realization began to crystallize in his mind. Through this seemingly simple exercise of imagining himself traveling alongside a beam of light, he had uncovered something extraordinary. Time and space were not the fixed, unchangeable entities that most people believed them to be. Instead, they were fluid, interconnected, and deeply dependent on the observer's perspective. This radical idea would eventually come to be known as the theory of special relativity, a concept that challenged the very foundation of physics. The theory of special relativity proposed that the speed of light is a constant, unaffected by the motion of the observer or the source of light itself. To Albert, this meant that, unlike everything else in the universe, light did not bend to the whims of relativity in the traditional sense. But this constancy came with a surprising consequence. For light to remain constant, time and space themselves had to adjust, stretching or compressing to accommodate this unchanging speed. In other words, time and space could vary depending on one's motion. Time could slow down or speed up, and distances could stretch or shrink, all depending on the observer's point of view and relative speed. One evening, as he pondered this theory further, Albert realized he had stumbled upon something even more profound, a simple, elegant equation that encapsulated the relationship between energy, mass, and the speed of light. He wrote down a formula that would soon become one of the most famous equations in history, E=mc squared. In this equation, he showed that energy, E, is equal to mass, m, multiplied by the speed of light squared, c superscript 2. This was no ordinary formula. It was a window into the core of the universe, revealing that mass and energy were not separate entities, but two sides of the same coin. Matter, it turned out, could be transformed into energy, and energy into matter, a revelation that had implications far beyond the walls of the patent office. For Albert, this equation was like a key unlocking the door to the universe's inner workings. With it, he saw that stars burned brightly by converting mass into energy, a process that fueled the very fabric of life in the cosmos. He understood that this equation was not merely a theoretical construct, it had the power to explain the fundamental processes that govern the universe. His mind raced as he considered the implications. What if, someday, humanity could harness this transformation on a larger scale? This formula held the potential for unimaginable energy, both constructive and destructive. Yet, despite the magnitude of these insights, Albert kept them mostly to himself. To him, these ideas were still taking shape, and he was content to let them grow and mature within the safe confines of his own thoughts. He would spend hours refining the details, testing his conclusions against the unbreakable logic of mathematics. In the quiet of his mind, he could see the universe's interconnectedness, the way time, space, and energy flowed together like threads in a grand cosmic tapestry. Eventually, he began to share his theory with others, first publishing his findings in scientific journals. To the world, his ideas were revolutionary. They challenged centuries of established thought and opened the door to an entirely new understanding of reality. Scientists were amazed, intrigued, and at times even skeptical. Could time truly slow down? Could space really stretch or contract? Einstein's theories were met with fascination and controversy as physicists and thinkers around the globe struggled to wrap their minds around the concept of a universe that was not fixed but dynamic and ever-shifting. The more Albert explained his theory, the more he realized its transformative power. The theory of special relativity was not just about understanding the movement of light or the behavior of time and space. It was a blueprint for exploring the fundamental nature of existence itself. It opened up questions about the limits of human knowledge and the mysteries that lay beyond. He saw that his work would not only redefine physics, but would also reshape humanity's view of its place in the cosmos. In time, the full implications of his theory would unfold, leading to groundbreaking discoveries in quantum mechanics, nuclear energy, and even space exploration. But for Albert, the true significance of his theory lay in its elegance and simplicity. To him, it was a reminder that the universe, in all its complexity, followed rules that were both beautiful and accessible to the human mind. Through special relativity, Albert Einstein had not only transformed science, he had glimpsed the universe's inner poetry, a dance of light, time, and energy that continued to inspire him. And so, in the stillness of his thoughts and the equations on his page, Albert Einstein had forever changed the way humanity understood reality itself. As Albert Einstein's thoughts delved deeper into the nature of light, time, and space, a single idea began to illuminate his understanding of the universe. Through his work on special relativity, he had discovered that space and time were not independent but interconnected, each shaping and bending in response to the other. This revelation was astonishing in itself, yet as Albert explored the implications of his theory, he stumbled upon something even more profound, a simple equation that would forever change humanity's view of reality: E=mc². This elegant formula stated that energy, E, was equal to mass, m, multiplied by the speed of light, c². To many, it might have appeared as a mere mathematical expression, but to Albert, it was the key to understanding the cosmos itself. This equation revealed something extraordinary: mass and energy were not separate, unchanging entities. Instead, they were two forms of the same fundamental essence. Matter could transform into energy, and energy could become matter, a revelation that held the potential to explain the hidden mechanics of the universe. Albert saw in this equation a profound symmetry, a hidden beauty that resonated deeply with his curiosity. He realized that everything in the universe, from the smallest atom to the brightest star, was part of a grand, interconnected system of energy and matter. It was as though the universe itself was woven together by this invisible thread, a delicate balance that gave rise to both structure and movement. The implications of this discovery were staggering. For the first time, science suggested that stars, which had fascinated humanity for millennia, shone with such brilliance because they were constantly transforming mass into energy. Through a process called nuclear fusion, stars released immense energy by converting small amounts of their mass, creating the light and heat that warmed the planets around them. In Albert's mind, the stars were no longer distant points of light. They were dynamic, living entities, fueled by the same fundamental principles he had uncovered in his formula. This understanding brought Albert a deep sense of awe. His equation, E=mc², was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a window into the universe's very soul, revealing a harmony that connected all things. With each calculation, he saw how the stars burned, how energy rippled through the cosmos, how mass and energy danced together in an endless cycle of transformation. This simple formula contained within it the story of creation and destruction, of life and the vast, swirling expanse of the cosmos. Yet, Albert knew this discovery was not without its shadows. The equation's potential to transform matter into immense energy had implications that were as frightening as they were revolutionary. If humanity ever managed to harness this transformation, it could unleash power on a scale never before seen, capable of fueling entire cities or destroying them in an instant. Albert could sense the responsibility that came with his discovery, the ethical weight of understanding a principle so potent and yet so delicate. As he shared his findings with the scientific community, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Physicists and mathematicians alike marveled at the simplicity and elegance of E=mc² and its implications for both science and society. The equation quickly became a symbol of a new age, one where humanity's understanding of the natural world was transformed by Albert's unique vision. It was as though he had lifted a veil, revealing truths that had always existed but had remained hidden until his mind had dared to ask the right questions. For Albert, this journey was a deeply personal one. He knew that his equation was a gift, a glimpse into the hidden poetry of the universe. In its simplicity, he saw beauty; in its implications, he saw mystery; and in its power, he felt a sense of humility. He realized that his role was not just to discover, but to share this knowledge with the world, to offer humanity a new way of seeing reality. Through E=mc², Albert had shown that all things were connected, bound by an unseen energy that pulsed through every star, every atom, and every heartbeat. It was a discovery that transcended science. It touched the very essence of existence itself. And so, as he continued to explore and refine his ideas, Albert Einstein knew that his work had unveiled a glimpse of the infinite, a glimpse that would resonate through the ages, forever changing the way humanity saw the world and its place within the cosmos. As Albert Einstein's mind continued to explore the mysteries of the universe, he began to sense that his work on special relativity was only part of a much larger picture. While his groundbreaking equation, E=mc², had revealed the relationship between mass and energy, there were still many unanswered questions. He felt the call to investigate even deeper forces, the invisible threads that connected not just particles and energy, but the very fabric of the cosmos itself. This call would lead him to a new, all-encompassing theory, general relativity. Einstein's journey toward general relativity began with a simple, yet profound thought. He envisioned a man in free fall, plummeting through the air. What would that man feel? In the moments as he fell, he would experience weightlessness, unaware of the force pulling him down. To an outside observer, the man was clearly being pulled by gravity, yet to the man himself, the sensation of gravity would disappear. This thought experiment sparked an idea that would become the foundation of general relativity. Gravity was not merely a force, but something far more complex and woven into the very structure of space and time. The more he thought about gravity, the more Albert realized that it could not be explained as a simple, invisible force acting at a distance. Instead, he imagined that massive objects, like stars and planets, actually bent the fabric of space and time around them, much like a heavy object placed on a stretched rubber sheet. This bending created a kind of well in space-time, causing smaller objects to move toward the larger ones, not because of an external force, but because of the curvature of space itself. In this new vision, Gravity wasn't a pulling force, but the effect of objects moving through curved space and time. This idea, revolutionary as it was, would take years to refine. Albert worked tirelessly, drawing diagrams, writing equations, and testing his concepts in every possible way. The mathematics involved were incredibly complex, demanding calculations that stretched the limits of contemporary science. But for Albert, the challenge was exhilarating. He knew that he was on the verge of uncovering a new layer of reality. He could sense that his theory would forever alter humanity's understanding of the universe and of gravity itself. Finally, in 1915, Albert completed his masterpiece, the theory of general relativity. In this new theory, he explained that massive objects, like the sun, bend the space-time around them, and this curvature causes other objects to move along those curves, like planets orbiting stars. It was a radical departure from Newton's classical view of gravity as an invisible force acting across a distance. Instead, gravity was now seen as a geometric property of space and time. One of the most stunning predictions of general relativity was that light itself could be bent by gravity. This meant that if a massive object, like a star, were positioned between a distant galaxy and an observer on Earth, the light from the galaxy would bend around the star, creating a lensing effect. This prediction was so bold, so fantastical, that many doubted its accuracy. But Albert believed in his calculations with unwavering confidence, trusting that the universe itself would one day prove his theory correct. In 1919, during a solar eclipse, his theory was finally tested. The light from stars positioned behind the sun was observed to bend, precisely as Einstein had predicted. This single event captured the world's attention, catapulting Einstein to international fame. Newspapers declared that Einstein had rewritten the laws of physics, challenging centuries of established thought. Scientists, philosophers, and even poets were captivated by this revelation that gravity was not a force, but a warping of space and time itself. For Einstein, general relativity was more than just a scientific triumph. It was a glimpse into the universe's hidden architecture, a way of seeing reality that few could have imagined. He had unveiled a universe where space and time were not fixed but dynamic, constantly shifting and reshaping in response to the objects within them. He saw that this dance of space and time was the essence of creation itself, an endless symphony that connected everything from the smallest particles to the grandest galaxies. Yet, even with this remarkable success, Albert knew that his work was far from over. General relativity had opened new doors and raised new questions. How did this warping of space-time relate to the quantum world, the realm of particles and forces at the smallest scales? Could there be a way to unify the forces of nature under a single, elegant framework? These questions would haunt him for the rest of his life, but he was content, knowing that he had unlocked a fundamental truth about the universe. Through general relativity, Albert Einstein had changed the course of science, revealing that the universe was a living, breathing entity, constantly bending and stretching in a cosmic dance. He had shown that space and time were not mere backdrops to reality, but were intimately woven into the fabric of existence itself. In doing so, he had given humanity a new way to see the universe, not as a static, mechanical system, but as a vast, interconnected web of energy and matter, a universe that was as mysterious as it was beautiful. Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity was more than just a scientific achievement. It was a testament to the power of imagination, a beacon that illuminated the deepest mysteries of existence. And as he looked up at the stars, Albert knew that his work had brought him one step closer to understanding the universe's infinite, timeless beauty. As Europe descended into the chaos of World War I, Albert Einstein found himself deeply troubled by the world around him. While battles raged across the continent and nations turned to new technologies and sciences to gain the upper hand, Albert's heart remained fixed on a vision of peace and unity. He saw in the devastation a tragic misuse of human ingenuity, a distortion of science's true purpose. To him, science was meant to uplift humanity, to bring clarity and understanding, not to fuel destruction. Einstein, unlike many of his colleagues, refused to support the war effort. In fact, he was one of the few prominent scientists in Germany who openly spoke against the war, a position that brought him into direct conflict with both the scientific community and the general public. Many saw his pacifist stance as unpatriotic, even treasonous. But for Albert, morality was not something to be swayed by the tides of nationalism. He believed that truth, like the laws of the universe he studied, was universal, unaffected by borders or politics. During this time, Einstein felt a profound sense of isolation. Many of his closest friends and colleagues, scientists he had once admired, supported the war, convinced that scientific advancements could bring victory to their respective nations. But Albert saw a different path. He believed that science should unite, not divide, and that true progress could only be achieved through cooperation and understanding. His pacifism, however, left him isolated in the very country he called home, viewed as an outsider even within the scientific community. As the war continued, Einstein watched with a heavy heart as science was used for destruction. He felt a growing sense of responsibility to remind the world of science's true purpose. In a rare public statement, he expressed his disapproval, writing, "My pacifism is an instinctive feeling, a feeling that possesses me because the murder of men is disgusting. My attitude is not derived from any intellectual theory, but is based on my deepest antipathy to every kind of cruelty and hatred." These words, though simple, reflected the depth of his inner struggle, the conflict between his love for humanity and the harsh reality unfolding around him. Yet, despite his opposition to the war, Einstein continued his scientific work in whatever capacity he could. He recognized that the pursuit of knowledge must persist, even in the darkest times. During these years, he began to expand upon his theories, quietly working on new concepts that would shape the future of physics. His mind remained as curious and determined as ever, seeking answers to the questions that had driven him since childhood. But now, his journey was clouded by the pain of witnessing how science could be twisted into a tool for violence. This inner conflict took a toll on Einstein's spirit. He struggled to reconcile his love for science with the growing realization that his work might one day be used for harm. He understood that his discoveries, once purely theoretical, could hold the power to change the world in ways he had never intended. It was a burden he carried silently, a weight he would bear throughout his life. Yet he pressed on, driven by the belief that, ultimately, knowledge could be a force for good. In the years to come, Albert Einstein would reflect on this period with a mix of sorrow and determination. He had witnessed firsthand the potential for destruction that lay within the human mind. But he had also seen glimpses of hope, moments when individuals came together to support peace and understanding, moments when science transcended borders and reminded humanity of its shared destiny. For Albert, these memories would fuel his lifelong commitment to peace, a commitment that would shape his legacy as much as any scientific discovery. Through this struggle, Einstein's resolve only grew stronger. He emerged from the war with an even greater commitment to use his work for the betterment of humanity, to remind the world of the beauty that science could offer. For him, the war had been a tragic reminder of how easily human ingenuity could be misused, yet it had also reignited his hope, a hope that, one day, science might guide humanity toward a more compassionate, unified future. And so, as the war drew to a close, Albert Einstein found himself at a crossroads. He was no longer just a scientist exploring the mysteries of the cosmos. He was a voice for peace, a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge was only meaningful if it served the highest aspirations of humanity. As the clouds of conflict once again began to gather over Europe in the years leading up to World War II, Albert Einstein found himself facing a moral dilemma unlike any he had encountered before. News of Nazi Germany's rise to power reached him with a chilling urgency. The ideals of tolerance, humanity, and peace that he held so dear were now under direct threat, and Einstein understood the terrifying potential for destruction that modern science could unleash if wielded by the wrong hands. It was a time of uncertainty, fear, and ethical questioning, a period when his devotion to peace collided with the harsh reality of the world's growing instability. In 1939, Einstein received a letter from a Hungarian physicist, Leo Szilard, warning that German scientists were making advancements in nuclear fission, the process that could potentially release unimaginable amounts of energy by splitting atoms. Einstein, who had fled Germany years earlier to escape Nazi persecution, knew all too well the danger posed by a regime that sought dominance through brutality. The letter conveyed a grave warning. If Germany succeeded in developing an atomic weapon, the consequences for the world would be catastrophic. For Albert, this knowledge brought a profound sense of responsibility. Although he had once believed that his work should never be used for destruction, he now faced an impossible choice. Could he, a lifelong pacifist and advocate for peace, support the creation of a weapon capable of such unprecedented devastation? Yet, on the other hand, if he did nothing, the consequences could be even more dire. The dilemma haunted him, casting a shadow over his thoughts and causing an inner turmoil that would stay with him for the rest of his life. After much contemplation, Einstein made the difficult decision to act. Alongside Szilard, he wrote a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning of the potential for a German atomic bomb and urging the United States to begin research into nuclear technology. The letter was brief, written in carefully measured words, yet it held within it the seeds of the atomic age. This single act, born of fear and reluctantly signed by a man devoted to peace, set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of history. As the Manhattan Project, America's atomic bomb program, began to unfold, Einstein felt a growing unease. He was not directly involved in the project, yet he was acutely aware of its progress and the power it could unleash. The scientific community was divided. Some saw the bomb as a necessary evil to bring about a quick end to the war, while others feared its potential to forever alter the world in ways humanity was not prepared for. For Einstein, this weapon symbolized both the brilliance and the horror of human intellect. It embodied the very paradox he had wrestled with throughout his life, the capacity of science to elevate humanity and the equal capacity to destroy it. In August 1945, when the bombs were finally dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Einstein's worst fears became reality. The devastation was unimaginable, the human cost beyond comprehension. Cities were leveled, and lives were extinguished in an instant. The world had entered a new and terrifying era, one that he had hoped would never come to pass. Although he had played no direct role in the bomb's creation or deployment, he felt a profound sense of guilt, a burden he would carry silently, knowing that his own discoveries had laid the foundation for this unimaginable power. In the years that followed, Einstein became an even more ardent advocate for peace, dedicating his voice to the cause of nuclear disarmament and the responsible use of scientific knowledge. He publicly condemned the bombings, expressing regret for his involvement in the initial letter to Roosevelt. He acknowledged that his fears of Nazi Germany had driven him to sign the letter, but he could not escape the sorrow he felt for the consequences. "I made one great mistake in my life," he would later reflect, "when I signed the letter to President Roosevelt recommending that atom bombs be made. It was a rare moment of vulnerability, an admission of the profound conflict between his pursuit of knowledge and his commitment to humanity." Despite his regret, Einstein remained hopeful that humanity could learn from its mistakes. He saw the dawn of the atomic age as both a warning and an opportunity, a chance for the world to come together, united in the understanding that such power must be wielded with the utmost responsibility. He spent his remaining years advocating for peace, urging nations to abandon their pursuit of nuclear weapons and to seek cooperation over conflict. In countless speeches, letters, and public appearances, he reminded the world of the purpose of science, not to conquer, but to enlighten and to serve the highest aspirations of the human spirit. Einstein's legacy, therefore, was not only one of scientific achievement but a profound moral conviction. He had glimpsed the boundless potential of human knowledge and felt the weight of its consequences. And while he could not undo the past, he dedicated the rest of his life to guiding humanity toward a future where such power might be used wisely. Through his work and his words, Albert Einstein became a symbol not only of genius but of conscience, a reminder that true knowledge carries with it the responsibility to protect and cherish life. His journey from scientific discovery to moral advocacy painted a portrait of a man who had seen both the brightest and darkest potentials of human intellect and who, in his heart, remained forever committed to peace. As the years passed and Albert Einstein entered the twilight of his life, his thoughts turned increasingly toward the future. He no longer saw himself solely as a scientist deciphering the secrets of the universe. He had come to view himself as a steward of knowledge, a voice for the moral responsibilities that came with scientific discovery. To him, science had always been about more than equations and theories. It was a way to serve humanity, to uplift and enlighten. Now, in his later years, he sought to pass on this understanding, to inspire others to wield knowledge with care and compassion. One of Einstein's deepest concerns was the role of scientists in society. He believed that those gifted with the ability to uncover the mysteries of the universe held a profound responsibility. Science, he argued, should be used to improve the human condition, to bridge divides, and to foster peace. As he reflected on his own life, he often spoke of the need for scientists to act as guardians of humanity, to prioritize ethical considerations over personal ambition. For him, the pursuit of knowledge was sacred, and with it came the duty to ensure that it was never misused. In his letters and speeches, Einstein repeatedly emphasized that the world's greatest threats were not only political but moral. He saw nationalism, prejudice, and hatred as forces that could undo the very fabric of society, forces that could corrupt the potential of scientific progress. The important thing, he would say, is not to stop questioning. But for Einstein, questioning meant more than scientific inquiry. It meant questioning the status quo, challenging injustice, and seeking truth in all things. Einstein was particularly vocal about social justice and equality. He despised racial discrimination and spoke passionately against the segregation and prejudice he observed in the United States. For him, these injustices were as destructive as the bombs he had once feared. He believed that a society that tolerated inequality was one that undermined the principles of science itself, for true progress could only flourish in a world where all people were valued. He viewed humanity as a single, interconnected family, bound by the same invisible forces that govern the universe. One of his greatest hopes was for a world where science and human compassion walked hand in hand. In his last years, Einstein worked tirelessly to promote the idea of a global society, a world in which nations would cooperate rather than compete, where knowledge would be shared openly for the benefit of all. He believed that only through unity could humanity overcome the challenges of the modern age. This vision was his legacy, his final gift to the world, a vision of a future in which the wonders of science serve to uplift rather than divide. Despite his frail health, Einstein continued to write, to speak, and to mentor young scientists, instilling in them a sense of ethical duty. He reminded them that they were not just researchers, they were inheritors of a powerful legacy, custodians of truths that could shape the fate of nations. The scientist, he said, is not just a technician. He is a person who asks why and for what. For Einstein, the question of why was not limited to the workings of the cosmos, but extended to the very purpose of scientific endeavor. In his final years, Einstein's modest home became a gathering place for students, young thinkers, and dreamers who sought his wisdom. He shared his thoughts on science, life, and the responsibility each person held in shaping the future. With gentle humor and piercing insight, he would speak of the beauty of simplicity, the power of curiosity, and the importance of remaining humble in the face of the unknown. To his visitors, he was not just a physicist, he was a sage, a guide who reminded them that the mind's highest calling was to serve humanity. In April 1955, Albert Einstein passed away, leaving behind a world forever changed by his discoveries. But his legacy extended beyond his scientific achievements. It lay in the ideals he had championed: peace, unity, and a belief in the inherent dignity of all people. As the news of his passing spread, people around the world mourned not only the loss of a brilliant mind, but the passing of a voice of conscience. In the end, Albert Einstein's life was a testament to the idea that science, at its best, could be a force for good, a light in dark times, and a bridge between peoples and nations. His vision was that of a world where knowledge served to uplift, where discoveries inspired compassion, and where humanity's greatest advancements were guided by wisdom. And so, the story of Albert Einstein did not end with his passing. His ideals lived on, carried forward by those he had inspired. He left the world with a vision of science not as a tool of power, but as a means to unite, a way to illuminate the path toward a better, more compassionate world. For Einstein, this was the true purpose of knowledge: to open doors, to expand horizons, and to remind humanity of the infinite beauty that lay in the pursuit of peace and understanding. Albert Einstein's name may be synonymous with genius and science, but behind his accomplishments lay another story, one filled with quiet solitude, moments of personal struggle, and complex relationships. Throughout his life, as he moved between scientific discoveries and social causes, Einstein also navigated the twists and turns of a challenging personal life. Although he projected the image of a strong, confident figure within the scientific community, his private life often revealed a man who wrestled with loneliness, disappointment, and a longing for meaningful connection. Einstein's first wife, Mileva Merrick, was a talented physics student whom he met while studying in Zurich. Mileva was an intellectual equal and partner in his early years, someone who could understand and even challenge his ideas. Together, they explored theories and ideas, sharing a love for science and a vision for the future. Their marriage, however, began to unravel under the weight of both personal and professional challenges. From their union came two sons, Hans Albert and Eduard. While Hans Albert would go on to become a successful engineer, their younger son, Eduard, struggled with mental illness throughout his life. This was a source of great sadness for Einstein, who felt a profound guilt over his physical and emotional distance from his children, a burden he carried throughout his life. After his separation from Mileva in 1919, Einstein married his cousin Elsa. Elsa provided him with a stable and supportive environment during a period of his life filled with challenges and rapid changes. While their relationship was more tranquil, Einstein's focus on science often kept him emotionally distant from his family. Elsa brought a sense of order to his life, yet he continued to struggle with the tension between his personal relationships and his unrelenting devotion to his work. His love for his children and partners was real, but his reserved nature often made it difficult for him to fully engage in family life, leaving a lasting impact on his personal relationships. Though family relationships were complex, Einstein valued his friendships deeply. His intellectual bonds with figures like Max Planck and Bertrand Russell enriched his understanding and challenged his views. Russell, in particular, encouraged him to become more active in the peace movement and advocate for nuclear disarmament. Einstein's friendship with Sigmund Freud, maintained through letters, led to profound discussions on the nature of war and human violence, while his connection with Helen Keller opened his eyes to issues of social justice and human rights. These friendships nourished Einstein's human side and allowed him to engage in conversations that extended beyond the boundaries of science. Outside of his scientific endeavors, Einstein led a surprisingly simple life, one punctuated by small escapes from his demanding thoughts. His greatest passion beyond physics was music, particularly the violin. He found immense joy in playing the works of Beethoven and Mozart, losing himself in the melodies, which offered him both solace and mental clarity. Music, to Einstein, mirrored the elegance and harmony he found in the universe. These moments with his violin were more than just pastimes, they were sacred escapes from his intense scientific work, times when he could experience peace within the rhythm and beauty of sound. Einstein's daily routine also reflected his simplicity. He would wander the streets of Princeton, his unkempt hair and mismatched clothes a stark contrast to his towering intellectual reputation. He enjoyed engaging in casual conversations with students, friends, and even strangers. These walks, which brought him into contact with people from all walks of life, provided him with a sense of connection and belonging. Though he was a figure of profound intellect, his interactions with others revealed a warm, approachable side, an everyman quality that belied his scientific genius. Despite these connections, Einstein remained a deeply solitary figure, feeling distance from others even in their company. His journey to understand the universe had taken him to mental and emotional depths that few could relate to. He often saw himself as a lone traveler on an endless quest for answers, a role that, while fulfilling, also left him with a lingering sense of isolation. At the end of his life, Einstein left behind more than revolutionary scientific achievements. He left a legacy that bridged science and humanity. His lifelong dedication to social causes, peace, and justice complemented his passion for discovery, creating a legacy that resonated far beyond the confines of physics. He was a man who had seen both the brilliance and the dangers of human intellect, who believed that knowledge, when used ethically, could uplift humanity. His story, then, is not only one of equations and theories, but of a man who longed to understand both the cosmos and the human heart. He left the world with more than insights into the fabric of reality. He left a vision of science as a force for good, a tool that, in the hands of compassionate and thoughtful individuals, could inspire understanding, peace, and unity. For Albert Einstein, the pursuit of knowledge was sacred not only because it revealed the universe's mysteries, but because it held the potential to illuminate the path toward a kinder, more connected world. As Albert Einstein grew older, his thoughts turned increasingly toward the mysteries that lay beyond the reach of scientific equations and experiments. While he had spent much of his life uncovering the laws that govern the physical world, there were questions that no formula could fully answer, questions about the nature of existence, of order, and of the forces that held the universe together. To Einstein, the universe was a vast, interconnected tapestry, each thread woven with purpose and precision. He often spoke of the beauty and simplicity of nature's laws, seeing in them a kind of universal harmony that resonated with something deep within him. One of Einstein's most famous remarks, "God does not play dice with the universe," became emblematic of his views on the nature of reality. For Einstein, this was not a religious statement, but a philosophical one. He believed that the universe was governed by laws that were both orderly and knowable, a grand design that was logical and precise. To him, the idea that events in the universe could be entirely random, determined by chance alone, was unthinkable. He saw the cosmos as a masterpiece of structure and coherence, a place where everything had its place, and every effect had its cause. Einstein's ideas often put him at odds with the emerging field of quantum mechanics, a branch of physics that suggested that at the smallest scales, the universe was governed by probabilities and uncertainties rather than absolute certainties. According to quantum theory, particles could exist in multiple states at once, and their behavior could only be predicted in terms of probabilities, not with the exactness that Einstein's theories had brought to physics. This uncertainty troubled Einstein deeply. He could not reconcile the randomness suggested by quantum mechanics with his belief in a deterministic universe, a universe where every movement, from the stars above to the tiniest atom, was guided by underlying order. Einstein would often debate his colleagues, insisting that there must be a hidden layer of reality, an undiscovered principle that would one day explain the apparent randomness of quantum mechanics. He was certain that, beneath the seemingly chaotic behavior of particles, there existed a deeper, unchanging order, a set of hidden variables that would reveal the true, predictable nature of the universe. For him, the universe was not a game of chance, but a grand symphony, each note perfectly placed, each movement intentional. In letters and conversations, Einstein described his fascination with this unseen order as a kind of spiritual experience. He often spoke of the cosmic religion he felt when contemplating the vastness of the universe and the elegance of its laws. He did not believe in a personal God, but he felt a deep reverence for the intricate beauty and harmony that seemed to permeate all of existence. The most incomprehensible thing about the universe, he would say, is that it is comprehensible. To him, the fact that humans could understand even a fraction of this grand design was a miracle in itself, a testament to the deep connection between human thought and the cosmos. Despite the controversies surrounding his views, Einstein remained unwavering in his belief that the universe was not ruled by randomness. He often found himself in passionate discussions with colleagues, standing firm in his conviction that one day, science would unveil the hidden laws that lay beneath the apparent uncertainties of quantum mechanics. Though many considered his views outdated, he held to his belief that the universe was a place of order and purpose, a cosmic ballet that moved in harmony with an unseen rhythm. In his later years, Einstein's search for this deeper order became a personal quest, one that transcended his role as a scientist. He sought to find a unified theory, a single framework that would bring together all the forces of nature, explaining both the large-scale structure of the universe and the behavior of particles at the quantum level. He believed that such a theory would finally reveal the hidden order he felt so strongly existed. Though he never succeeded in discovering this theory of everything, the quest itself was enough to bring him a sense of peace, a sense that he had come closer to the truth of existence. Through his life's work and his unyielding belief in a structured, harmonious universe, Einstein left behind more than theories and equations. He left a legacy of wonder and curiosity. He reminded the world that, while there may always be mysteries that lie beyond human understanding, the pursuit of those mysteries is what brings us closest to the heart of the cosmos. For Einstein, the universe was not merely a place to be observed, it was a work of art, a source of awe and reverence. And as he looked up at the stars, he saw not randomness, but the silent music of a grand design, an eternal dance where each piece fit perfectly into place, moving in harmony with a rhythm known only to the universe itself. As Albert Einstein approached the final years of his life, his mind was as restless and curious as ever, but his thoughts often drifted away from the grand equations and the complexities of the universe that had once consumed him. Instead, he found himself reflecting on the intricacies of his personal life, the relationships he had cherished, and the struggles that had marked his journey. While his scientific work had cemented his place in history, his heart still longed for the deeper human connections that had often been overshadowed by his relentless pursuit of knowledge. Einstein's relationships with the women in his life were complicated and often fraught with tension. His first wife, Mileva Merrick, had been his confidant and intellectual partner who shared in his early scientific dreams. Together, they dreamed big, engaging in debates that fueled his groundbreaking work. Yet, their marriage slowly crumbled under the pressure of Einstein's growing fame, his intense focus on his work, and the personal differences that became insurmountable. Mileva had sacrificed much for their family, and her unhappiness deepened as Einstein's career flourished, leaving her feeling neglected and overshadowed. Their divorce was painful, but perhaps the most enduring heartbreak came from his complicated relationships with his children. Hans Albert, his eldest son, forged his path as an engineer, but the father-son bond was strained by Einstein's long absences and the emotional distance that often marked their interactions. His younger son, Eduard, who struggled with schizophrenia, became a source of immense sorrow for Einstein. Unable to provide the comfort and stability that Eduard needed, Einstein carried the weight of this guilt with him, feeling that he had failed to be the father his son needed. These familial fractures haunted him, and though he loved his children deeply, he was never quite able to mend the wounds that time and distance had created. In his second marriage to Elsa, Einstein found a measure of peace and domestic stability. Elsa was devoted and cared for him with patience and understanding, particularly as his fame grew and demands on his time increased. She managed their household and protected him from the overwhelming public attention, serving as a buffer between him and the world. Yet, even with Elsa, Einstein remained somewhat detached, his mind forever preoccupied with the mysteries of the universe. He valued Elsa's companionship, but found it difficult to balance the demands of his scientific mind with the emotional intimacy of married life. Beyond his family, Einstein cultivated friendships that offered him moments of genuine connection and inspiration. He was close with a number of prominent thinkers and artists, and his conversations with them often transcended science, delving into philosophy, art, and the human experience. One of his dearest friendships was with Max Born, a fellow physicist, though their views on quantum mechanics often put them at odds. Despite their scientific disagreements, their bond endured, underpinned by a mutual respect and affection. His correspondence with Sigmund Freud revealed his deep reflections on human nature, violence, and the pursuit of peace, while his friendship with Charlie Chaplin highlighted his playful and humorous side, a reminder that even geniuses could find joy in the simplicity of laughter. Einstein's passion for social justice and human rights grew stronger as he aged. He became a vocal critic of racial segregation in the United States, openly condemning the inequalities he witnessed. He spoke out for civil rights, using his platform to advocate for a more just and compassionate society. Despite facing criticism, he never shied away from these causes, believing that science and ethics were deeply intertwined and that it was the duty of those who knew better to act better. To him, the pursuit of knowledge was meaningless if it did not serve humanity and uplift the oppressed. Music remained his sanctuary throughout his life. Whenever the world's chaos or his own inner turmoil grew too loud, Einstein would turn to his beloved violin. Playing music, especially the works of Mozart and Bach, offered him a sense of order and serenity. In those quiet moments, with his bow gliding over the strings, he found a harmony that mirrored the universal laws he had spent his life exploring. Music was more than a hobby, it was a bridge between the physical and the metaphysical, a language that spoke to the deepest parts of his soul. In his final years, Einstein grew increasingly reflective. He often wondered if he had done enough to steer the world toward peace and if his work would ultimately help humanity or lead to its downfall. The shadow of the atomic bomb, a weapon born from the science he had helped develop, lingered over his legacy, and he never stopped advocating for nuclear disarmament. He knew that knowledge could be both a blessing and a curse, and he remained determined to inspire future generations to use it wisely. Albert Einstein passed away in 1955, leaving behind a world transformed by his discoveries. Yet, beyond his scientific genius, he left a legacy of human complexity, of a man who struggled with love, loss, and the eternal search for meaning. He had unraveled the secrets of the cosmos, but he had also touched on the delicate truths of the human heart. As he reflected on his life, he found solace in the idea that, despite his imperfections, he had used his gifts to make a difference. In the end, Einstein's story was not just about the mind of a genius, but about the heart of a man who sought to understand both the universe and his place within it. He had seen the stars up close, measured the curvature of space-time, and yet had always returned to the simple, enduring question, how can knowledge serve humanity? Even now, his words and work continue to echo, reminding us of the profound balance between the pursuit of understanding and the need for compassion, between the vastness of the universe and the small, sacred connections that make us human. As Albert Einstein's hair turned whiter and his steps grew slower, his mind remained as sharp and restless as ever. Even as his body began to show the signs of age, his passion for unraveling the universe's deepest mysteries never waned. Though he had already revolutionized physics with his theories of special and general relativity, there was one final quest that occupied his thoughts, one last enigma he was desperate to solve, the unification of all the forces of nature into a single, elegant theory. He called it the theory of everything, and it became the guiding star of his final years. Einstein had always been fascinated by the notion of unity. In his youth, he had marveled at the compass his father had given him, wondering about the invisible forces that guided the needle north. Throughout his life, this sense of wonder at the unseen connections in the universe had driven his work. Now, As he sat at his cluttered desk in Princeton, surrounded by stacks of papers and mathematical scribbles, he still chased that same dream. He longed to find a single equation, a single principle, that could explain both the behavior of the stars in the sky and the smallest particles in existence. The problem was immense, almost unfathomable in its complexity. On one side was his own theory of general relativity, which described the cosmos on a grand scale, explaining the motion of planets and the warping of space-time around massive objects. On the other side was quantum mechanics, the strange and unpredictable world of the very small, where particles appeared and disappeared in a haze of probabilities, seemingly defying the very order he had always believed in. Reconciling these two realms seemed impossible. It was as though the universe spoke two entirely different languages, and Einstein, despite all his brilliance, could not quite find a way to make them speak to each other. Each day, Einstein would walk through the leafy streets of Princeton, his mind swirling with equations and ideas. Passers-by would see the old professor in his rumpled clothes, lost in thought, and wonder what cosmic mysteries he was contemplating. He was never too busy to smile at a child or pause for a friendly greeting, but even in these moments of simple human connection, the questions never left him. What binds the universe together, he would ask himself over and over as he wandered along familiar paths. His attempts to unify the forces of nature often led him to frustration. He would spend hours, sometimes days, on a single equation, only to crumple the paper in defeat. Yet, for Einstein, failure was simply part of the journey. "I live and breathe in this quest," he would write to a friend, acknowledging that the pursuit of truth was as vital to him as the air he breathed. He knew that he might never find the answers he sought, but the search itself was enough to sustain him. The beauty of science, for Einstein, lay not in the certainty of discovery, but in the endless adventure of exploration. Despite the obstacles, Einstein remained hopeful. He had faith that nature was inherently elegant and that the universe's complexity concealed a simple truth waiting to be discovered. He would gaze at the night sky, the same sky he had marveled at as a boy, and feel a sense of profound connection to the cosmos. To him, the stars were more than distant points of light. They were part of a grand design, one he longed to understand fully. His pursuit of a unified theory was not just an intellectual challenge, it was a deeply spiritual one. Einstein had always believed that science and spirituality were not separate but intertwined, both seeking to understand the same mysteries. He often spoke of a cosmic religious feeling, a sense of awe and wonder at the universe's grandeur. He did not believe in a personal God, but he felt a reverence for the beauty and order of creation, a feeling that drove him to continue searching for answers even as his health began to decline. In his final days, Einstein knew that his dream of unifying the forces of the universe might remain unfulfilled. Yet, he was at peace with this realization. He had spent a lifetime exploring the frontiers of human knowledge, and he understood that some mysteries were simply too vast to be solved in one lifetime. "The important thing," he once said, "is to never stop questioning." And he never did. His questions, his dreams, and his relentless curiosity remained with him until the very end. On April 18, 1955, as he lay in his hospital bed, the last words he spoke were in German, his mother tongue, words that faded into the air unrecorded and unknown. His passing marked the end of an era, but his ideas and the questions he left behind continued to inspire generations of scientists, thinkers, and dreamers. He had gazed into the universe and seen both its immense beauty and its profound mystery. Even in death, Albert Einstein's legacy was not one of answers, but of questions, questions that beckon others to take up his quest and continue the search for the truths that bind us all. In the end, Einstein's life was a testament to the power of wonder, the magic of curiosity, and the unbreakable human spirit that longs to understand the cosmos. Though he never discovered his theory of everything, his work laid the foundation for those who would come after him, lighting the way for new explorers on the infinite frontier of knowledge. His story remains a reminder that the universe, in all its vastness, is a place of endless possibilities, a realm where the pursuit of understanding is itself the most beautiful adventure of all. In the twilight of his life, Albert Einstein often found himself reflecting on the world he was about to leave behind. Sitting by the window in his small Princeton home, he would watch the play of light and shadow on the trees outside, each movement a reminder of the universe's delicate and intricate dance. Though his body grew frail, his mind was ever vibrant, teeming with thoughts and memories that spanned a lifetime of wonder and discovery. By then, he had come to terms with many of life's paradoxes, accepting that even the greatest minds could not answer every question or solve every mystery. For all the years he had spent deciphering the cosmos, Einstein remained humbled by the enormity of the universe and the small, yet precious role humanity played within it. He was a man of equations, of reason and logic, yet he also saw the poetry in the cosmos, the way stars whispered ancient secrets, and how every atom held a story as old as time. Einstein often thought about the legacy he would leave behind. His work had brought about revolutions in science, but it had also inadvertently contributed to humanity's most devastating weapon, the atomic bomb. This burden was a shadow that lingered, a moral weight he carried to the end. He had always hoped that his discoveries would elevate humanity, bring about a deeper appreciation for the universe, and lead to a future defined by knowledge and peace. Yet he had lived long enough to see how that knowledge could be twisted, used not to illuminate but to destroy. Still, he never gave up hope. Even in his last years, Einstein remained a fervent advocate for peace, believing in the potential of humanity to learn from its mistakes. He dreamed of a world united, where the pursuit of scientific knowledge would bring people together rather than divide them. The horrors of 2 world wars had made him keenly aware of the importance of compassion, understanding, and the urgent need for a global community bound by mutual respect. He would write letters to world leaders, speak out against violence and prejudice, and remind those who would listen that science must serve the greater good. In his more private moments, Einstein's thoughts often wandered back to his childhood, those simple days when he first marveled at the mysteries of light, when a small compass had opened his mind to the unseen forces of the universe. He had come so far from that curious boy, yet in many ways, he felt that same sense of wonder. As he looked back on his journey, he realized that his greatest achievement was not any single theory or equation, but the questions he had dared to ask and the curiosity he had inspired in others. Music, too, remained his solace. Whenever his heart felt heavy or his thoughts too tangled, he would reach for his beloved violin. The familiar melodies of Mozart or Bach would fill the room, calming his mind and reminding him of the simple, eternal beauty of sound. To Einstein, music was the purest expression of the universe's harmony, a language that required no translation, no theory, only feeling. Even as his hands grew older, trembling with age, the music never lost its power to transport him to a realm beyond words, a place where everything made sense, if only for a moment. As he pondered the future, Einstein remained hopeful that the next generation would continue his quest, not only in science but also in the pursuit of a better world. He had faith that young minds would rise to meet the challenges ahead, that they would look up at the stars and wonder, just as he had, about the nature of existence and the secrets still waiting to be revealed. He wanted them to know that the universe was a place of endless possibility, that every answer found would lead to more questions, and that this, above all, was the true beauty of discovery. In his final days, Albert Einstein came to see his life as a part of a much larger story, one that stretched across time and space. He had added his own chapter, a tale of light and relativity, of war and peace, of endless curiosity. Yet he knew that the story would go on, written by those who came after him, by dreamers, thinkers, and explorers who would carry the torch of inquiry forward. On the morning of April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein left this world, his last thoughts known only to the universe he had spent a lifetime trying to understand. The man who had measured the curvature of space-time and chased beams of light into the unknown had finally found peace. Yet, his questions lived on, echoing through the corridors of science and the hearts of those who still look up at the stars with wonder. Einstein's legacy is more than theories and equations. It is a call to curiosity, a reminder that the universe is a vast, wondrous mystery waiting to be explored. He taught us that knowledge is not just about answers, but about the courage to ask questions, the humility to accept our limits, and the grace to marvel at the beauty of existence. In the end, he was not just a scientist, but a seeker, a dreamer, and a voice that will forever remind humanity to never stop questioning, to never stop seeking, and to never stop dreaming. In the final chapter of his extraordinary life, Albert Einstein often contemplated the meaning of existence and the universe's mysteries that still eluded him. He was a man who had unlocked the secrets of light and space-time, yet he remained ever curious, ever humble in the face of the vast, unknown cosmos. As he sat in his modest home in Princeton, surrounded by stacks of paper, unfinished equations, and letters from admirers around the world, Einstein found solace in the act of reflection. His mind, still as vibrant as it had been in his youth, danced between memories of his past and dreams for humanity's future. His greatest scientific accomplishments, such as the theory of relativity, had transformed our understanding of the universe. Yet Einstein was deeply aware that his work was merely a piece of a much larger puzzle. The mysteries of quantum mechanics, with its strange and unpredictable behavior, left him feeling both fascinated and unsettled. He often mused about the incompleteness of the human mind, about how even the most brilliant insights seemed to only scratch the surface of a much deeper reality. The universe, he thought, was like an infinite book, with each answer revealing more pages yet to be read. One of the ideas that haunted him most was the notion of unity, an all-encompassing theory that could explain everything from the motion of galaxies to the tiniest particles of matter. His search for this theory of everything had been relentless, yet he knew he might never find it. This quest, this pursuit of unity, was a reminder of both the grandeur and the humility required in science. It was a goal that transcended his own lifetime, a dream passed on to future generations. And though he never solved the puzzle, Einstein found a certain beauty in the search itself. To him, the journey toward understanding was just as important as the destination. Einstein's reflections were not solely focused on the cosmos, they also turned inward to his own life and the choices he had made. He thought about his childhood in Germany, where he had been a dreamy, curious boy fascinated by the mysteries of magnetism and light. He recalled his years as a young man, struggling against the confines of conventional education, driven by an insatiable desire to understand the world on his own terms. He remembered the joy and heartbreak of his relationships, the sacrifices he had made for science, and the moments of connection that had given his life meaning. He knew that he had not been a perfect husband or father, and those regrets lingered, a testament to his all too human flaws. Yet, for all his imperfections, Einstein felt a sense of peace. He had lived a life driven by curiosity, by the desire to lift the veil of ignorance and bring a deeper understanding to humanity. And though he had witnessed both the best and worst of human nature, he remained optimistic that people could learn, grow, and come together in the name of science, compassion, and peace. He often said that life was like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And indeed, even in his last days, his mind kept moving, questioning, dreaming, and hoping. One of his most cherished escapes from the rigors of scientific thought was music. Einstein would pick up his violin and play for hours, losing himself in the melodies of Bach and Mozart. Music, to him, was more than just a pastime. It was a form of expression that transcended words, a universal language that spoke to the soul. He believed that music had the power to heal, to inspire, and to reveal the underlying harmony of the universe. In those moments, as the notes floated around him, he felt a connection to something greater, a reminder that beauty and order were not limited to the equations he scribbled on paper, but existed in the fabric of existence itself. As the years wore on, Einstein became more philosophical about life and the universe. He often spoke of a cosmic religion, a sense of awe and reverence for the natural order of things. He did not believe in a personal God, but found spirituality in the elegance of the laws of physics and the interconnectedness of all things. This perspective gave him a sense of humility, a recognition that no matter how much he had learned, there was always more to discover. He believed that the purpose of life was to explore, to wonder, and to be awed by the mystery of existence. Einstein spent his final days surrounded by books, friends, and memories. He continued to correspond with fellow scientists, engaging in debates and offering advice, never losing his passion for the pursuit of knowledge. His presence, though physically frail, was still filled with the same vibrant energy that had once propelled him to revolutionize our understanding of the universe. He knew that his work would outlive him, that his theories would continue to be explored, challenged, and expanded upon long after he was gone. This thought gave him comfort, a sense that he had played his part in the grand story of human discovery. Albert Einstein passed away quietly on April 18, 1955, leaving behind a world that had been forever changed by his insights. But his story did not end there. His legacy lived on in the countless minds he had inspired, in the dreamers who looked up at the stars and wondered, in the scientists who continued to seek answers to the questions he had posed. He had shown the world that curiosity was a gift, that even the most complex mysteries could be approached with wonder and humility. And so, even as his physical form faded into history, the light of his ideas continued to shine, a beacon for all those who dared to ask, to dream, and to seek the truths that lay just beyond the reach of human understanding. As we draw this journey to a close, let your mind drift back over the tales we've explored tonight, tales of wonder and genius, of the stars above and the mysteries that lay beneath the surface of existence. Picture Albert Einstein, the great dreamer, wandering through the corridors of the cosmos, searching for answers to questions that still dance like constellations in the night sky. Remember that even he, with his extraordinary intellect, remained humble before the vast universe, constantly awed by the beauty and complexity of life. So now, as you rest and the world grows quiet around you, let his story be a gentle reminder of the boundless possibilities that curiosity brings, the magic of simply wondering and dreaming. Breathe in deeply, Let the echoes of these whispered tales soothe your mind, and know that knowledge, in all its forms, is a journey meant to inspire awe, peace, and the comfort of shared human experience. Thank you for joining me tonight on Whispered Tales. If you found solace or inspiration here, remember to follow for more stories to guide you through the realms of history and imagination. Until next time, drift into sleep with the stars watching over you and the universe whispering its secrets. Good night, dear dreamers.